Most illogical. Fascinating.
I am nomad. I am nomad. I am nomad.
Bitter dregs.
Stand by to beam up.
Live long and prosper.
Stand by to beam up.
Most illogical.
Stand by to beam up.
Live long and prosper. Fascinating.
I am nomad. I am nomad. I am nomad.
Bitter dregs. Fascinating.
Stand by to beam up.
Live long and prosper.
Stand by to beam up.
Most illogical.
Stand by to beam up.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you live in Technicolor from the beautiful Hollywood Hills, California. The show where the total retail price of their advice is $0. This is Timelines Talks. Featuring guest musical performers, Metallica frontman, oh my, it's Stars and Garters. Also featuring, hey buddy, you're a tier 9. Look out, it's Automaton 2000. And now, from Spreadsheet City, here's your host, Captain Idol.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another fantastic edition of Timelines Talks, the premium #1 stream for all things Star Trek Timelines. As always, I am joined by my two stunning, wonderful, always supportive co-hosts, Automaton 2000 and Stars and Garters. Gentlemen, people in chat, everyone watching on podcast, on YouTube, or watching with us live, which you can catch us usually at 15:30 EST, EDT, I don't know time zones, or 8:30 in the UK, I don't know, 9:30 for those in Europe. But this week we're a little bit out of sync because of daylight savings time. But everyone, welcome. Someone stop me talking.
I know, he started out well, and then I mocked him for reading it off the back of his hand, and all of a sudden
and he was like, no, it's improvised, I promise.
You messed my mojo. But yes, welcome to the show. We have another fantastic show. We've got a lot to talk about this week, a few things. Top of the show, first off, as we're now starting to do, congratulations to the event winner. Congratulations to SSR Barkley for winning last week's Galaxy and getting 5 stars for Layla Kalomi. I cannot imagine how much tapping and how much you have to put in to win a Galaxy event. I mean, that is absolutely outrageous, but fair bit. Congratulations to him for winning that one. I'm now just going to go look up your high score because we can now. There we go, for 9,500,000 points. That is insane. I'm not actually sure. Do either of you guys know what the current high score on that is?
I have no idea.
There was, I say recently, time just all flows together for me. I think it was earlier this year. There was some kind of flashback Galaxy or rerun Galaxy where the rule set was the same from an early one. So VP scores were higher, and a VIP 0 won that event. I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, with like 18 million or so, some really high. It was like the record at the time because the scores were inflated from the original. So I think that I don't remember. Well, Barkley is the historian of all things event scores, so I'm sure he'll tell us how close to the record that was.
Definitely.
Okay, but you're all missing out on the actual important statistic here, which is however many billion VP. How many Bond movies is that?
Yeah, we love to watch Bond when we're grinding the skirmish or whatever. What kind of shows do you guys in chat watch? I think I heard a few people say They went through all of DS9 over the course of the last few events. So
There's a lot of DS9.
There's a lot
That's
of
like
DS9.
7 seasons of it. Like, what the hell?
how many My Childs is that?
How
The
many
part is
fuck
strong.
with the profits? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know the event
on.
hub isn't fully rolled out yet, but I
Mm.
do appreciate being able to look through the scores. I went through because that is
Very
our
handy.
shtick now to congratulate the winner. And I went through and found another couple names I recognized. A Traveling Man in 28th, and he runs the STTPowerRankings.com site, and IPA Roy Kirk in 21st, who is a mod on the Timeline subreddit. So thank you for making the community what it is, guys, and congratulations on your slightly increased lithium rewards.
Just a big shout out to anyone that makes any stuff for the community. There's plenty of people making lots of spreadsheets and lots of different sort of community resources, and thanks to everyone for putting in the work doing that. This is help to everyone.
I wonder what that feels like.
What?
All right.
Thanks
By the
to
way,
me. Anyway,
Stellarize in chat reminded me, yes, it is an Asus TF300T has a Galaxy record.
Oh, gosh,
I
yes.
believe he's submitted questions to our show before, so
he has, and I think we had a long conversation about his monitor name. Quick PSA for everyone. The following week, next week's event will be.
Hold on, before we
Go
go
on.
into that, I knew you clowns would forget. It is Halloween coming up. Hey!
Well,
So, in the spirit of Halloween, I thought I'd bring a prop with me because I know you losers would not remember.
Well, Otto, I have a little something to share. I was sent an anonymous tip that you may have partied slightly too hard on one occasion, and for those, apologies to those viewing the podcast, I'm about to show a quick image to everyone. Oh dear, who is that?
What is this? Oh,
I
God,
have to
let me
inform
check
you
it.
all that I don't know what's happening here either, and I'm very afraid.
There's a
My
certain-
wife may or may not have been involved in this pilfering of my identity. All right, we're 20 seconds behind on the YouTube. So,
Well, when
is
you
am
do
I
catch
naked?
up,
am I wearing clothes?
I would like you to explain your actions here, sir.
No, this is okay. My buddy he's getting up there in age, and so to feel young again, he wanted a 90s hip hop party / costume party. So I've got my Flava Flav clock, and I've got my do-rag with. Okay, never. You can see it, but you know,
I would just
your
like to say that
incentive to watch
I
live.
am not associated with these gentlemen. I don't know them. I'm locked in
Hey,
here with them.
I'm willing to be a jester on the show. You know,
That is
so.
magnificent.
Well, I was going to say, so that's for Halloween. It looks more like a St. Patrick's Day hat, to be frank.
No, that's a Green Bay Packers hat. Football. Sorry, American football for you Brits.
Anyway, so PSA for those who want to keep back on track.
Happy Halloween!
Next week, next week we will have the faction rerun, which will be Riker Odan's flashback event, and it is a faction. And guess who's coming out of the woodwork yet again? It's all physicians. So if you used your Christine Chapel several weeks ago, then froze her, then unfroze her a few weeks ago, and then froze her again, well, guess what? You're going to have to unfreeze her yet again, because she will be an event bonus alongside Katra and Evie Suit McCoy. So if you haven't already frozen and immortalized them, might want to keep them out for just another week, as they will count in the quite large physician pool that is next week.
Yeah, oddly enough, the only two Vulcan physicians are Katra McCoy, who's not a Vulcan, but he has the Vulcan tag, so he gets a bonus. And then Dr. Silar. So you may not have fought very many of them for this last month, but at least Katra McCoy, Evie Suit McCoy, and then, of course, Chapel will get bonuses coming up. They were all pretty recent, useful crew.
Okay, shall we go to our feature event? Well, we're talking about the crew and the upcoming campaign a little bit later, but we've got something we promised to do last week, but we didn't. We have the Timeline Showdown coming up, and we are going to introduce it thusly.
This Wednesday on UPN, an all-out war. Competitors from all over the cosmos go head-to-head in a battle for supremacy. Captain Kirk versus Spock. Captain Kirk versus the Gorn. Captain Kirk versus basic human decency. Find out who will fall and who will be victorious on Timeline Showdown.
Yes, it is time for Timeline Showdown, where we take the best of the best and mash them together to decide who is going to be the victor this time. Continuing on from our previous round, which I will now bring up on the screen, if I can do that quick enough, which I don't think I can. Someone Phil, quick, there it is. I found it. Yes, so if you remember last time we had Who Would You Rather Be Stuck in a Shuttlecraft? And we have our 4 contestants this week, Mariachi Q, Phlox Au Naturel, Ambassador Troy, and Virtuoso Doctor. So, while we go through that, I'm just going to try and pull up the straw poll. So please, someone, Phil.
I would just like to tell everyone in the chat that I had an idea for a showdown, and I was brutally shot down. My idea was, who would you rather take on a date? And these men, these monsters,
we'll get there.
were like, you can't just put Worf in every option. And I was like, why not?
Okay,
I remember this going differently, actually. So.
Okay, chat, I've just stuck a link up in the chat. If you can go to this straw poll and vote, we'll give you a few minutes. But let's talk about Mariachi Q versus Phlox Au Naturel. Who would you rather be stuck on a shuttlecraft with?
Well, see, you know what? I have a question for you that I feel like may make you uncomfortable, but I feel like it has to be asked. What do you think Phlox smells like?
Lavender, rose hips.
Well, I think he would smell like all those weird little animals he has, like lying around in his in his lab. And I feel like there's gonna be a bit of antiseptic in there. And I don't know, do we ever see him shower?
There's a good chance that he uses his osmotic eels on himself, so he might just be sitting there in shotgun, completely naked with like eels, slugs like stuck to his body as some kind of.
There's only one
therapy.
eel you need to be worried about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think that the eel latches onto your skin. I think it goes somewhere else.
Okay, what about Mariachi Q? I mean,
moving very quickly
what is you know, I quite like a bit of, you know, Cuban music, or, you know, a bit of a, but then you're having a trumpet blasting in your ear all day for 8-hour shuttle rides. That's something you'd like.
Well, that's Q is most insufferable. I feel like it was fun to see like that moment, but good God, like him like high on his own farts, like he was so impressed with himself. Like Q2 was like, "Oh man, you showed exemplary cuteness," and he was like, "Me." And it's like, oh my God. And there's a reason why that lovely gif of him playing the trumpet, like Picard's like.
So are the rules of this the character from the entire episode, or is this just like the moment in time? So would he be playing trumpet the whole time?
I think in this sense, because we already have this human Q in the game, I think this would have to be specifically
Red alert.
Mariachi Q as he appears in the shuttlecraft. There would be a flash. He'd appear in your shuttlecraft and he'd be for all day and snapping his fingers, cigars all around.
It's either that flash or a different kind of flash. So,
okay. Well, chat has spoken. The straw poll has been decided. It is Mariachi Q. People would rather be stuck with Mariachi Q in a shuttle than Phlox.
A little bit.
A little wiggle. Should we give it a few more minutes? Should give it a couple more minutes?
No, because
no. Well, okay, right. We're so Mariachi Q. So
I feel like I turned too few people off with the whole idea of what he smells like.
Okay, so
okay. We'll give him the win.
Okay, Mariachi
and he
Q.
moves on to the finals.
Okay, so this is the finals of this round. We will have many more rounds. So let's go to, and chat, I'm just going to stick this in there. Chat, I have stuck in the next straw poll, which will be, I don't know why I call them straw polls. They're just polls. That's the website. Ambassador Troy versus Virtuoso Doctor. So we've got a couple of musicians here. Who would you prefer to be stuck in a shuttle with? The endless sort of chat and babble from Ambassador Troy, or the soprano of Virtuoso Doctor? I suppose he's not a soprano, is he? What is he? I don't know my operatic terms. Alto? Tenor? Oh, he'd be a tenor. He'd be a tenor, wouldn't he?
I think he would be a tenor, yeah.
By the way, you linked the results link rather than the vote link, so
Oh, did I?
they can still go and vote on
Okay.
there if they click vote first. But
Professionalism.
he's trying to rig. He's trying to stuff the ballot box. Is what he's trying to do.
There we go. There's the correct link.
Now,
there it is.
I feel like now it's been a little while since I watched the Virtuoso episode.
So good.
Yeah, we'll get to it because me and the boyfriend are still doing our full rewatch of Voyager. We're on season 3 at the moment, so we're not quite there. But honestly, I like Roxana a lot. I find her endlessly fun. I think that's a case of you're either the kind of person who loves Roxana or you're the kind of person who hates it. I love her. I think she's great. I could easily spend a few like not even in like a sexual way, but she reminds me of like my old aunt who was like gregarious.
You had to put the not a sexual way disclaimer before saying she reminds you of your aunt?
Hey man, British families are weird.
Agreed.
Agreed. There you go. You wouldn't understand, man. It's a different time. It's a different place. You know, she has that sort of like that old weird aunt who, you know, kind of like pinches your cheek and gives you hard candy and then tells you about Captain Picard's sexual fantasies. And to be frank, I want to know.
I think my all-time favourite moment in The Next Generation is just when Picard's in the turbo lift and he knows that Troy's mother is on the ship and he just pokes his head out and he's just very cagey. I fucking love that. It's just like a very human moment in like all of Trek. It's so funny.
Yeah, to be fair, that is probably the least annoying Loxana Troy's ever been, because she, like we talked about last time, she takes her wig off and she's very like, okay, let's drop the pretense. You know, she's trying to get to Odo's soft, gooey center, as it were. So she isn't, you know, as flamboyantly boisterous and loud as she normally is, but
it still boggles my mind these days, like, because, you know, I've just finished my rewatch of the original series and I'm now, you know, watching TNG and things like that, and Loxana and Christine Chapel are the same person. Like, it's still, you know, it's a generation apart, but she plays them both so differently and so well. I think it's so good.
Well, she's also number 1, and that's again a very different character.
Yeah.
And she's also 17 different computers.
And also a lot of the characters in the animated series, which I'm now going through as well. She is the voice actress of Emrys. I don't know how you say it. And a few other things as well. Mress. Okay, so it's looking like a clear win for the Virtuoso Doctor, 75-25. So I think we will decide that and say, yes, congratulations, Virtuoso Doctor. You are going through to our final, which I will have to plug in a second. So Mariachi Q versus Virtuoso Doctor.
Okay. Let's give him the win.
That's a battle of the egos. That one is.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So you're gonna have to pull up one more poll.
Yeah.
For the grand finals of Mariachi Q versus.
I'm thinking about it. Did Q and the Doctor ever interact?
No.
I don't think they did. Chat, there is a new link in the chat.
Because Q was on Voyager at least 3 or 4 times, and I don't think he ever interacted with the EMH.
I think you might be right.
We do deserve it, though. We definitely deserve it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a musician finale there. So it's the trumpet versus the tenor.
Now, okay, I know there's some real Trek nerds out there in the chat, and I mean that, you know, as lovingly as it can be. There are a lot of actors that go back and do script reads. I know Alexander Siddig and Andrew Robinson, Bashir and Garrick did one that was linked recently, where they look a little bit grayer, but you know they put on the persona and they talk to each other. I know Spock and Q have done one together, which was a lot of fun.
That
was
good.
Logic versus Whimsy. I'll put that in the description of the video later on if I can remember. Yeah, so I do wonder, maybe Doc and Q have done some kind of script reading at some point together.
That would be good.
Well, they're both very active on the fan circuit, and they're both very intelligent minds. I'm sure they must have done something, but.
Okay, but this grand finals, guys, how can we avoid talking about such a star-studded lineup here?
I know. I think it's going to be the Doctor for me. I think like going a trumpet blast near it. Trumpets are loud. They are so. They're not quite instruments. I mean, fair enough. A tenor is loud, but at least you can kind of sort of, I don't know, back away. or
you can
say,
mute
sing me something soft.
Well, there's something that you can ask the Doctor to sing a few different. If you have like a certain selection of opera that you like, for example, you can be like, "Hey, can you do like La Donna e la Mobile? Can you do like La Traviata? Can you do X, Y, Z? Can you do these?" And it's like,
Actually,
oh yeah, sure. He would love that. He'd be like, "Oh man, you really like opera?" It's like, whereas like Q will play whatever the hell he wants.
Can you play Freebird?
If Q wants to play Through the Fire and the Flames on his trumpet, he will do it.
For the next 8 hours on repeat, yeah. No, actually, Doc sings some jazz at the beginning of that episode too, so he does have a little bit more range, I think, than Mariachi Q.
Definitely.
Yeah, and he also does "You're My Sunshine" and what was the other one that he does at the very end of that episode, the sad one? Oh, it's like one of my favorite episodes of Voyager, and I can't remember what he sings at the end.
You're talking about the one with Seven, right?
Yeah, where they
Someone
start
Will Watch Over Me.
One
of my favorite songs ever. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that episode. That's one of my favorite episodes of Voyager ever.
That's a good one. Okay, so it's looking.
You do Mozart's Die Zauberflöte? You know what? That's the challenge.
This dies. Okay. Virtuoso Doctor seems to be taking the lead 60-40 here. Yeah, I think that might have nailed it. I think Virtuoso Doctor is the winner of this round. Auto, should we call it?
Yes.
Yes. Put in. Oh, hang on. There we go. Put in our winner for this session. Now, my question to you, Auto, is the winner from this going through to the next round's winner?
No, we are going to have.
We are going
to have. Well, we may do a master bracket at the end if I can find a theme that fits them all. But even though Doctors won this one, we are not done yet, folks. No. We didn't put all that work into that 30-second intro clip for nothing. This is going to be a semi-regular feature. And so you can hit that link in chat and vote on the next Timeline Showdown theme. Right. And the options are...
vote for the all Worfs, then please do.
And the options are, who would you rather go on a date with? Who should replace Deanna Troi as ship's counselor? Which I will include Morn in that one because he's such a great listener. And option number 3, you're at the siege of AR-558, the infamous DS9 episode. Who do you want at your back in the foxhole? So we have 2 funnier ones and one a little more serious.
I'd be very intrigued to see what people decide on the who should you replace on. I mean, have you got these brackets lined up already, or are you going to make it after this?
No. We'll do it after the fact.
Okay. So this could be
You have just reminded me of one of my favorite Deanna Troi moments, I think, ever. And I think, is it Man of the People? When she starts losing her compassion, and she's counseling that ensign who's struggling with her work-life balance, and she's like,
either that one or The Loss, where she loses her telepathic abilities.
And she's like, I just don't care. Why am I listening to you talk about your rubbish? It's just so rude. I adore it.
Sassy Deanna is best Deanna.
Where's that Troy?
Yeah, that's true. We've got Dark Empath. I think that's as close as we're going to get for it.
I do want to see that red rosy-cheeked ensign that scurries out of her room when Riker opens the door. But
when do we get obnoxious scratch face Riker going?
Okay, so I wrote up these ideas, but I haven't thought about it. Which one would you guys want to see on a Timeline Showdown?
I think the easy one is. I think the interesting one would be who would you rather go on a date with, because I think that would show a lot about various members of the, well, not that we can see what guys are voting on, but I think it would show a lot about us, about who, especially if there's a lot of Worfs in there.
Hey man, Groom Worf, he's my boy. He's the one to go.
I'm gonna guess that one would win, so I'm gonna be contrarian, pick one of the other ones. But we're gonna leave that up. We'll put a link in the description. You guys can vote on it through the week.
We'll leave that one.
Probably won't be next week because I think we have a special guest lined up.
We do have a special guest.
But it'll be sometime soon.
Okay. Fascinating. So that's Timeline Showdowns for this week. We will do some more next time, and keep voting on the poll. I'll stick that up in the forum, or if anyone else wants to stick.
WRG Ben asked, "Does my vote count as 2 points?"
Only.
I tell you what. I tell you what. You give us the first letter of this collection coming next month that you promised us last week. You give us the first letter, and we'll give you two votes on this.
Oh, there's a challenge.
Incoming in chat. ..
It's gonna be
Ben
it's gonna be
frantically
like that.
googling Morse code translator.
No, he's gonna give us the letter X, and we're gonna be like, what? Xylophonists? Is that a thing?
Okay, shall we talk about this week's campaign? This month's campaign, because we have a rather interesting one, and I think possibly one of the strongest showings from a campaign yet. Now, let me just load up the crew stats. Oh no, where have I put them? There they are.
Now, we do have to inform you, dear listeners, that we did want to get the musical accompaniment for this because Otto wrote a very inspired note for this crew in the big book, and it's one of my favorites, but unfortunately we don't want to get copyright claimed.
We did not again. We've been striked out twice so far. This month's crew is Determined Paris, a tier 3, the number 13 Voyager, which I think is possibly one of the highest Voyagers we've had in the campaign, and he's also accompanied by his father, the late great Richard Hurd, Admiral Owen Paris.
So, long-time viewers / listeners of Timeline Talks, remember we talked about Determined Paris's episode way back in like the 3rd episode or something that we did, and
second, I think it was very early.
Yeah, I went back to watch it to see if there's anything we could glean from it, and it was a little bit slower, and we were getting our feet under us, and I dare say we weren't half as entertaining as we are now. So good job, us.
We're entertaining to ourselves, assuming people like it.
Well,
that's the point of the show.
If we're enjoying it, you're enjoying it. Anyway.
To be fair, we are doing it for free, so, you know, we're entertaining ourselves.
Well, you are.
Yeah, we'll never see the other side of that Patreon. Idol's funneling it all to himself.
You get paid?
Yeah. So yeah, this is a good crew. When you said possibly one of the best ever, I had to bring up the list of campaign crew. We've been on a pretty good run recently. Keiko, Big Base, Science Officer Spock, Big Event Count, Determined Paris, a little bit of everything. And I heard a few people, I think most people are on board with, yeah, he's a good crew, even though not many people need that skill set anymore. But I went back and compiled a few notes about him. And the things that jumped out to me, I won't go down the whole list, but his voyage metrics are very good. In fact, he debuted at voyage number 13, and 5 months later, he's still there because the collection bonuses shuffled up a few names. So it's a little bit cheating, but he hasn't dropped a voyage rank. He's only dropped 1 security rank. So he's still the top shuttler for security and diplomacy seats, that hybrid seat. He has more events and more faction events than a lot of popular names: Spock, Burnham, Picard, Cisco. So he's
Keiko.
Yeah, Keiko, Jake. Can you believe he beats Jake's event count? So
Morn, I'm crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's a little bit of everything. Obviously, the diplomat collection spot is sweet because I think almost everyone is still working on that one, and there are a lot of bad golds that you might have to try to fuse up if you want to get it done ASAP. So, yeah, I'm very excited about this one, and it wasn't the same episode, but I think a few episodes later, when Admiral Owen's actor Richard Hurd passed, we talked about him and the roles he played, and definitely Admiral Paris was one of them, and the impact he made on the Paris character. So I like the theme. I like the crew. This is a big hit for me, and I'll be looking forward to opening my wallet soon.
Well, I have to say, I also think that this kind of, because when campaigns first debuted, we were like, okay, they're all going to be relatively themed. And it's like, okay, so, okay, well, maybe we can guess about, oh, it's XYZ's birthday, or oh, it's this holiday this month.
It's
and then
Easter, it'll be White Rabbit. that was the hill I died on.
And then it's like, what's the theme for November? Zoom calls. It's like,
I know.
Actually, this one's pretty close on theme compared to a few of the ones in the past.
It's pretty good. I like the family link. It's quite nice. I think, talking of bad theme for campaigns, I will never forget the Age of Sail Raquel Troy one, which just said, new faces. We haven't seen these guys in a while. I'm like, and I got what they meant. They meant we haven't seen them in the show in a while. But I'm like, literally 2 campaigns ago we had Data, and Troy has been in so many. So I was like, this is tentative at best. But still, I think they were a good crew at the time. But yes, Determined Paris is. He's been on my wish list for a little while. I didn't get him in his event because I was fresh out of Boost, so getting 4 or 5 of him is going to be huge. And again, like people say, that is when we talk about pushing sites. If you've got 4 or 5 of him and you got nothing you don't know where to put your sites, put on him.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, are you guys citing him?
I think I will.
Day one, end of the campaign, or what?
I think I'll wait to the end, but I think he's strong for it.
I've actually had him sitting at 1 out of 5 since his event, so I was like, these are good Voyager metrics. I really like Tom as a character, just like in general. He's one of my favorite characters from Voyager. It's like the Voyager metrics are good, even if I don't need a lot of what he offers in terms of command sec. And I was like, +1 diplomat, can't go wrong with that. And when this popped up, I was like, oh, that one crew that I would never want to cite up, but would probably actually make a difference on my roster. Okay, well, you know what? Like, I can't say no to that. I mean, I can. It's not like they're forcing my thing into this, but it's a case of,
I think
from a gameplay perspective, he will enrich my life in ways that are manifold and unforeseen.
I think that's the benefit of some of these campaigns is like, okay, people say, you only get 4 or 5 on. Well, hang on, look. Even if the crew is crap, someone out there has this crap crew sitting at 1 of 5, and that is just, like, if they were planning to do the campaign anyway because of the other bonuses, like, last month I got lucky with Science Officer Sybok. Okay, that's an exception, but someday down the line they're going to do Silver LaForge, and I'll be like, yes, I can airlock her. Finally, I can get a crew slot back. So, it's half and half.
Hang on. You're going to get her in a campaign. You're going to pay for the premium track. You're going to get a 5 out of 5, but then what? You're going to get to level 99 and then airlock her. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, sure, why not?
That's a power move, to be fair. That's a power move.
My former fleet admiral came to my place a couple of times, but the first time, he was a little bit shy about the game. Like, do I bring it out? This is a social setting. Do I try to behave normally, etc., etc.? And I'm like, dude, it's a faction event. It's okay. You can. Okay, good. He pulls out his phone and he sends out his shuttles.
Do you know what? I was at a friend's.
Is that faction boost in your pocket, or are you just happy?
Hey, it lasts for 9 hours. What can I say? But anyway,
he rewards if you do it right.
he was very ashamed to show me not his boost, but he had Silver LaForge fully fused, and this was over a year ago. So she wasn't in the portal or anything. He just fully fused her. I'm like, oh man, that's such a bad card, and I ragged him a little bit. And then the next time he came over, he sheepishly admitted, you know what? I was a little embarrassed last time. I actually have 2 fully fused Silver LaForges. I'm like, what? What are you doing with this game?
Oh my god.
You know what? That is the reason the big book exists, quite frankly. That is the reason for people making decisions.
No. Come on, let's not shame. I'm sure he did it because he liked the card. I'm sure someone out there that won appearance. Is she a known actress? I don't know much about her. I don't know if has she been in another TV series?
I want to say yes, but I don't know her much.
You can cite for love. It's a big it's a big thing to do. 2 of them might be a bit much.
That's okay. Hey, if you can't rag on your friends, who can you rag on?
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually the truth, yeah.
I was at some friends the other night and playing a board game for the first time in like about 9 months, and I said to them, oh yeah, I've started streaming, doing a show, and they were like, oh, what's it about? And I'm like, oh, it's about this really niche Star Trek game. I was like, it's really weird talking about it in a social situation.
I love mentioning, I'm going to be on a stream later on today. Oh, it's going to be so much fun. And like, what's that about? I come and watch. And I'm like, I just say it bold face. I'm like, it's about a Star Trek mobile game. And then I watch the color drain from my face. I'm like, yeah, that's why you don't want to watch it.
We sit and drink and talk about rubbish for 2 hours. What do you want? Anyway, Determined Paris. He's a good card before we get too sidetracked. Let's talk about Admiral Owen Paris. As I said, the late, great Richard Hurd, who passed away earlier this year. He's quite a good super rare. I've seen him in the Gauntlet several times. I can't remember what traits he qualifies for, but I think he gets a 45 or
I believe so.
65. I think it's 45.
Yeah, I believe he's got pilot and a few other bits and pieces. I think astrophysicist.
I wouldn't say he's a good super rare, but this is like the ultimate. If you're a new player, and say you can't even make 2-hour voyages yet, which is common, you need to get a little bit lucky with the Dabo, etc. And you're not able to finish all your dailies. This is a great crew. You only need 1 star. So even if you only make it to tier 20 of the campaign and you get 1 star, level him up because he will hold down your gauntlet for months. Absolutely. Beyond that, I mean, he does have a shelf life there. He's going to get stomped by some of the big names, but I mean, when you're a new player, you take any kind of proficiency you can get. So he's good there, but beyond that, the traits aren't really eventable. There's no collection piece. There's a little bit of arena evasion. It comes online quick enough that it might save your bacon, but it also takes quite a while to build up ship levels as well. So I can't say he's going to help you right away there. But so yeah, he's sort of gauntlet or bust for me. But as a freebie, I mean, that's going to be great for new players.
Yeah, no, you do consider it worse. And like, I love how like we're like, oh, well, he's a pretty good gauntlet card. Don't have the gauntlet stats up.
All right.
Look, we were prepared making goofy musical intros, not actually looking at these crew numbers. All right.
Priorities, come on, no.
I was also going to mention we're not going to talk about the fact that he's the number 39 super rare voyager.
To be fair, you do hit a point. I do put all these stats on the screen. To be fair, a lot of them are quite fairly meaningless to just look at. You just kind of look at it and say he's the command sec 130 for all crew, and I'm like, well, what does that mean? Yeah, you are right. That does need to be looked at a little bit more.
No, he's not good. That's very impressive.
Oh, thank you. Oh,
you're right. Yeah, that's a memory lapse by me. Top 40. I guess because he's command sec, I sort of write him off in my mind because it's such a common pairing. But yeah, for a new player, definitely. If you can get maybe even 3 copies, it would help you out there. So I retract my previous statement. He is a fantastic crew.
Well, there we go. But he's tier 8.
So why is
anyway.
he tier 8? Oh, who said that?
We love tier 8's an unappreciated tier, you know, that's the underdog of the tiers. Then they're not bad enough to go down to 9 or 10, but they're there just holding up everyone else, aren't they?
I'm going to be in trouble after the show.
By the way, this version is from what's it called? Project Voyager? Pathfinder.
Pathfinder, yeah.
It's the one where Reg Barkley back in the Alpha Quadrant is sure that he can contact Voyager and no one else believes in them. Even Paris, who has his son stranded in the Delta Quadrant. So Reg defies orders, locks himself in the Astrometrics lab or wherever.
Something like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And he contacts them successfully, and so they get a message through. And so Paris, instead of arresting him on the spot, sort of, does the Picard maneuver and talks to the crew of Voyager and says, okay, we'll try to get you guys home now that we know that you're still out there. So you see that in the arena abilities called Project Voyager is just beginning. So that's a nice little. I do like the late season Voyager episodes where they tie back to the Alpha Quadrant when we have Deanna Troi guest starring and Reg Barkley and stuff. I really think those are neat.
I think that's the same episode where he follow her on holiday and he's got the obnoxious amount of sunscreen on his nose and stuff like that. Where's that Barkley?
Yeah.
I want that Barkley.
Sunscreen Barkley. Yeah.
What was his cat called? He had a cat, didn't he?
Neelix.
That's right.
Neelix.
Yeah.
And Deanna was like, why is he called Neelix? And he's like, I will not tell you because this is too embarrassing, even for you, my therapist, to know.
Wait, so we have to get like a 6-year anniversary avatar in the game, and it's going to be Neelix the cat, right?
Has to be.
It's either going to be Neelix the cat or it's going to be the new cat that's on Discovery. I feel like it's probably one of those two.
We haven't spoken much about Discovery.
Spoilers.
I think exactly. This is it. I think we will.
Spoilers. There's a cat.
There is a cat. She is a queen. But
she's heavy.
I think we will talk about that when the crew comes up because I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people in the chat that haven't watched it.
Oh, absolutely. Like we're on episode 2. Like we're not going to spoil it for anyone.
No.
I feel like it's fair to do a spoiler moriatum, sort of like the same way of the moment a crew comes up in game, it's fair game. But until then, we're not going to.
So next week we will be talking about that cliffhanger in the end of TNG season 3. Oh my god. He's been assimilated. Anyway,
I haven't seen that episode. Who got assimilated?
Well, Sorry.
Tell me!
I mean,
Now
Patrick
you're
Stewart
gonna
was
have to
thinking about
tune
leaving the
in
show.
30 years ago.
Yeah. Did you want to talk about this graph also? Because we've forgotten it, or should we leave it?
Yeah, throw it up there. Why
All
not?
right. We have graphs.
So we at the Big Book are always looking to perfect our techniques and the way we look at crew and everything. I asked No Name Namer if he wanted to come along board, because I've seen him tinkering around with various metrics before, and he agreed and has been a great help to us in breaking down crew and spitting out spreadsheets at a rate that would make Idle's head spin. And so one of the sorry, Idle, you know I love you. And so the graph you see on screen, which was annotated not by Celebrity Jeopardy players, but actually by Idle later losers. You see the blue line is voyage scores, and then the red line is just a linear line. So you see a big chunk of crew are sort of that linear, very even voyage power. So you can sort of chart. I think it's numbers ranks 40 through 240 are pretty similar. They're kind of packed in there. But the top 40, the scores start to take off, which is why Braxton has become such a famous name. And for a long time, First Officer Burnham. And a couple weeks ago when Breen Disguised
Airlock
Spirit came
material
out.
now.
Yeah, fuck it.
Well,
Would be airlock material. Out the airlock. Can't you use her?
Nah,
yeah, she's
shit.
down to
Tier
5.
10.
I think you need to
Yeah, tier 10.
airlock her. It's a lot of
Yeah.
honor to airlock a gold. But yeah, you do see the scores start to take off. So Paris, if you're into voyages, is in that great part of the curve where the scores start to take off. He is, I don't know how substantial you want to call it, but he is noticeably better than that big chunk of voyagers who are all sort of ducks in a row.
He also has the a bit of advantage where this is the worst skill set. It is, but this is probably the best permutation of it because I'm pretty sure that it's your sheet, isn't it, Idle, that has the ability to break down what sort of everyone's voyage metrics looks like and what your skill set pairings look like. And you always see the common ones like like command sec or command dip at the top because that's what everyone has nowadays. Side dip is another one that's become very common in the last few years. But you'll always see that of the trifecta of command dip sec crew, sec dip and dip sec are always the kind of the most underrepresented ones. So if you are looking to cite anyone with the skill set, someone with that particular order is probably the best one to go for. That's kind of the reason why Nina's Ezri is like a relatively decent citation prospect as well.
By the way, a pretty similar crew, at least on voyages, is Quinn. And I think most all of us have him at 2.5 hanging around. Do we cite him? Do we not? He probably won't be in the portal if we had to guess. What are you guys doing with your Quins?
He's still at 2.5. I'm still sitting because he's appeared in a couple of packs, so I'm kind of half wondering if he's going to appear in another one. He's one of those risky little side projects because unlike
that's right.
Unlike Carlos or any of the Honor Hall crew,
Carlos.
Sorry, Kalish.
Carlos.
Alicia Carlos.
Yes, okay, all right. I read how I write. Unlike Kalesh, as they say on Disco, he's never going to be in the portal. You're going to have to put sights on him. But Quinn is still a little, and the same with Bones, McCoy, and Homestead, and Janeway. They're a little bit. I foresee them being in the portal, but it's a little bit of an unsure thing. He won't be in the portal. Will he be in a pack I might pull in the future? Possibly. So that's kind of makes me. He's good, but I could put my sight somewhere else. And seeing as I have the kind of sight for love, and Chef Riker is kind of the top of my list at the moment, he might not make it. But we'll see. Stars?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing. So I have to ask, what have you guys done with your commanding officer, Cisco?
Immortalized.
He is a yellow #1 on my home HUD, and at first it annoyed the hell out of me, and now I'm just kind of used to it. So
it gives you comfort when you see it. You're like, there he is. Never
someday next year or the year after, I'm going to be at. They're going to expand Inspiring. I'm going to be at like 79 out of 80 crew needed, and he's going to be there. And then I will open him, and I will happily cite him and finish that collection. But until then, he can just hang out.
Yeah.
So, for the
anyway, to bring it back to Paris,
yes.
The reason I'm doing this Donald Trump thing with my hands. Sorry, it's just
'tis the season.
To bring it back to Paris, if you have Quinn and you're thinking about citing him, this is basically Quinn plus. You get events, you get a meaningful collection, and he's quite similar in voyages.
Okay, let's
Doesn't
move.
have a Klingon trait, which is bullshit.
He does not. Which there is.
I know he has immersed himself in Klingon culture. He's willing to fight to the death, and as we know, a batleth means diplomacy for Klingons. So he's got to be a Klingon somewhere.
Right. Speaking of Klingons,
Well, that's
related
the thing,
to...
isn't it? Like, why is Klingon Neil Klingon and not Paris? But,
Speaking of Klingons related to this, Richard Hurd actually also played another Klingon in one of my favourite Worf episodes, which was Birthright.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, we are going to get the full rendition of that one day.
Excuse, I love it.
Yeah, so he played, I forget the Klingon's name, Auto. What was his name?
It is a Worf episode.
Oh God, I don't remember now.
If I just stop making guttural throat noises, well, I'll do.
That'll do. Someone in chat help us. What was the?
I do remember him singing the song by the end of it. So,
but that was Richard.
Well, yeah, because it starts off with Worf and the kids doing it, and then it slowly progresses around the table, and the Romulans are sitting around. They're like, "Are we about to get like hate crimed?" And then the old Klingons start doing it.
LaCour.
Okay, let's shifty. Let's talk about this week's Tuesday pack. Speaking still of Voyager, we have Fancy Man, Fairhaven, Harry Kim, a super rare crew who has some vague representation in the Dipsai leagues as a 2-skiller. And we know how we feel about 2-skillers, let alone 2-skiller super rare crew. But guys, please, sell me on him.
All right, here's how this is going to go. You guys are going to dump on the episode for the next 15 minutes. So I'm going to get my shit in first. I love Fairhaven. I love the follow-up episode. I think they are jewels in mid-season Voyager. And I like Fairhaven Kim. You may not bash him.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing. I'm going to subvert your expectations because I'm going to lay down the ultimate insult I can about Fairhaven and Spirit Folk, which is the other episode. I don't remember them.
No, this is what I'm saying. I've watched them at some point. I have zero... Because we've also got Michael Sullivan and Seamus, excuse my translation.
It'll be Seamus, yeah.
I don't remember them at all.
The only thing I remember is Janeway deleting Michael Sullivan's wife. That's the only thing I remember.
Okay, so
the best scene in the episode.
Fairhaven Kim comes in like right at the beginning, or right near the beginning, and he's going on a date with the holographic Melly O'Halloran. And prankster Paris is following them, watching them from about a block away because he's a total creeper. And as Kim, who is the Voyager version of Geordi, is just about to get lucky on this date, he leans in to kiss Maggie, and Paris punches a command on his pad or whatever, and transforms the holographic Maggie into a cow. And Kim ends up kissing the cow, or nearly kissing the cow on the lips. And when he finds out what happened, of course, he runs after Paris and yells at him. But so that's Fairhaven Kim, cow kisser.
But he is the Dipsai #1 Voyager for super rare. What is that? Is that something? Is that something?
Yeah, sure. Well, he's a fine shuttle piece, but I think
I thought you were about to say he's a fine young man.
He is a
fine young man. Yes. Haven't you seen how he presses his holographic shirt before going on the date? No, but up until this year, Harry had 2 days of faction action in the last 3.5 years of timeline.
Faction action.
That's the best.
Matthew Halloran.
I'm so using that.
That's my catchphrase.
I've
never heard faction
You've
action.
never said that before. Faction action.
So
yeah.
he
are your co-host of nearly 6 months, and I've never heard you say faction action.
He had 2 days of faction action. So those bases, while nice because they fill a hole for young Ensign Kim, you may not get to use them as often as you'd like. But no.
True. But in a Tuesday on a 650, one thing I didn't do is I didn't pull up the image for the pack, but we also have in, and I'm just going to quickly load my game up. This pack has a few other interesting crew, including Little John, Will Riker, Queen Guinevere, Kira, North Star Archer, Gloria, and Kestra Riker Troy. So there's a few other things in there. Most notably, Little John Riker, Kestra are not in the portal. So that's, again, it depends how much you want to dive in a Tuesday for a 650 for a 1 in whatever thousands for.
Well, it's always one of those interesting propositions when it's the new 4-star, isn't it? Because you always kind of look at it and go, If it's a 5-star, you go, I have no chance of getting that crew. I'm going to get nothing but the 4-star. And if you're lucky, you'll get the 5-star, unless you have XYZ amount of dilithium banked and not a lot better to do else on a Wednesday night. But when it's the 4-star, I feel like that kind of takes a bit of the sting out of it, because it's a case of, at worst, you're getting a shot at a new 4-star who you can at least finish off. It's +1 immortalization count. It's a crew that might be in, especially if it's someone like Kim, or I think we have one of these like 4-star Beverly Crusher, and say they will come in useful at some point down the line.
And Kestra, I think Kestra Troy Riker wasn't a galaxy or a hybrid galaxy, was she? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's going to be a fair few people. She was a mega, definitely, but there'll be a fair few people that have her sitting at 3 or 4, so there's a chance of finishing her there.
Yeah, of course, it's nice to have a sexier name like Picard or something, but when you think about it, he has like 4 billion variants, and Kim has about 3 or 4 usable ones. So even though he may not get as many events, when he does, you're not going to have a wealth of options.
He does have a very sexy name for Prisoner Kim. Is it Prisoner? Yeah, Prisoner Kim.
Yeah.
Who is...
Yeah, but again, 6-pack, not in Portal. So...
Exactly, yeah.
Now, Stars, you always talk about that itch in the back of your brain if you get the version of a crew who has the skills that the other characters don't. So what about this Kim is unappealing to you?
I don't know, man. Like, this isn't a great episode. It's a 2-skiller. He has no collections. I don't know. I feel bad for Harry. He hasn't got a ton of great. He's done better now, because he had was it Delta Flyer Kim, who has like he makes a set with Irina and Delta Flyer Paris and Torres, which is fun. And he had Captain Harry Kim, who's like, finally that boy got promotion, finally. And it's like, I don't know. I look at this one, I think this is filler a little bit.
Who
filler?
You've got to behold. You've got to behold. Your third option is already fully fused. You're not going to take them. You've got a choice between Fairhaven Harry Kim or Teresian Kim.
Which one is that again?
I thought
he's even worse.
He is.
I feel like I'm having a demented episode.
He's the one where he's holding the screwdriver up like that, just going, oh.
There are only 2 Kims with diplomacy, and it's those 2.
I don't know this card. Does he exist?
He does exist.
He's bad. He's been at
How dare you not remember
1 and 3 stars. Look, I've had 5 accounts, and I haven't fully fused him on any. He just sits there at like low fusion levels, waiting to be put out of his misery.
Stars, how dare you not know every single one of these 920,000 billion cards?
Clearly, I have early onset Alzheimer's if I don't know Parisian Kim.
He was part of. He was part of an event about a year and a bit. He's in the portal, but
that doesn't really narrow it down.
It really doesn't. Anyway,
that's
let's
move
move
on.
On.
For today.
That's enough, Kim. Okay, let's talk about this week's event, which is a skirmish event. Hurrah! Everyone rejoices. We get to get some bonus for our actually putting in the chronotons. The legendary that is recurring for this week's flashback is Riker Odan, or some people say slightly ill Riker, or possibly starting to suffer from the coronavirus Riker. He is Tier 4, he is Psi Dip Command, which is fairly unique among Rikers. But for a skirmish event, it's a good one to go for in my book. I have him 1 of 5. No, I have him 2 of 5. The most interesting thing...
All right, calm down. Stop flexing.
Yes, my whole 2 stars on someone that looks like they're about to ruin my carpet. The interesting thing about this Riker is the packs you will get following the event are possibly one of the most unique packs in the game. Okay, they are 650 like normal. However, the featured cards are Riker Odan, 1701 Bashir, the super rare, and Mycelial Culber. For some reason we don't know. So there's a chance in getting 2 quite good cards in a 6-pack is quite unique. I've run out of sentences. Please carry on.
Okay. If you've been playing for a while, the way that events used to work is you would play an event. Say Data is bonus, because he's the featured crew. You could use your datas, and then when you win the event or rank 1000 or whatever, you would get the data that you worked for. And you'd be able to pull packs, and that could sort of guide whether or not you want to rank in the event to get another copy. And now the way it works, of course, is the packs and the bonus for that crew come the week after you win them. So you can't really plan your event around, okay, I got lucky in packs, I guess I'll rank 1500 and finish fusing this crew or whatever. So this is sort of an interesting situation. And we do get that when we know reruns ahead of time, where you can win a Riker Odan, and because his 650 pack is a little bit juicier with a great mycelial Culber in there, you say, okay, if I know I'm going to try to pull packs later on anyway, I may as well rank the week before, get that extra Riker Odan, and maybe I get lucky and fuse them that way. So I do like this is sort of a flashback, pardon the pun, to the way event structure used to work. So I do like that, and that's sort of giving me pause because I've been saving my chronodons, but I'm thinking, maybe do I want to get 2-3 copies in this skirmish of Riker and then pull his pack next week? So I'm undecided though. What about you?
For me, it's a bit of a trickier proposition. For me, because my Mycelial Culber was one of those crew that I saw the episode he comes from, and I was like, that's going to be a card. I really want that card. And I thought, he's going to have to be either Med Command or Med Sec. He's going to be something I want. And I just love the character. Like, I love Wilson Cruz. I love his entire storyline in season 2. And I was like, I really want him. And then I think he was in a 6-pack. And I dived into that 6-pack, and it went bad. It went wrong. I didn't get a single copy, and I was extremely sorry for myself. And then this came up, and it was extremely strange because you say it's structured very differently. It was 1701 Bashir, who was actually a pretty decent card in his own right. It was Riker Odan, who I was like, I don't really need more of that. And then it was my Mycelial Culber, and then I went nuts on that pack. I think I got at least 3 out of 5 of my Culber from that, and I was very happy with it. So, and the thing is, Culber is almost worth the price of admission alone. Riker Odan is still a pretty decent card if you somehow have avoided to get side dip crew this year. If you somehow managed to do that, then congratulations, you're playing a different game than I am. I still think he's a bit of a weak card on his ancillary benefits. Like, he's kind of a Voyager and a base. He doesn't count for Diplomat, even though he should. And he's kind of a bit does he even count for Romantic, even though I think he should, but he doesn't?
I think all Rikers are, aren't they? Hang on, I'll have a look.
Your desperate Riker was feeling really romantic when it was just him and Warp on the bridge, yeah?
Trill, Gambler, Maverick, Ambassador, Romantic. So he has a few
decent traits, but
a shade off Riker.
Yeah, and Ambassador always feels like we wanted to give this card Diplomat, but then we realized it would ruin the collection thresholds. But you could do far worse. Like, when that 650 pack comes up, you're going to be very happy with the choices you have. And I think it's very, very telling that we have spent, 10 minutes talking about this. This is the end of Omega.
Yes. This is something
Not a lot to say about.
No, I think we'll pivot slightly because, yes, and I was going to introduce this at the start of the show and I completely forgot. This is the end of Spocktober, ladies and gentlemen. This is the finale, a very strange mega, all things considered, because, and I think I quote you here, Stars, you were saying this was the mega of super rares, and we'll get onto that in a little minute, but with Zarabeth, but this is definitely the new player's dream, or VIP 0 player's dream, because there were some stunning super rares out there, but the legendary cards were less than desirable. However, like this and the Enterprise mega, the themes were quite nice and tight, and there was definitely a nice sort of visually and sort of aesthetically to Star Trek, a nice theme going throughout, which is, I think if I'm going to do anything, I'm going to prefer that over raw statistical benefit, because I like to, rather than something like the Caregiver campaign, which was a little bit all over the place, this was something nice.
Well, I think there's a nice little sort of in-between spot to be struck, like with the Year of Hell mega, which I think is still kind of one of the high watermarks for mega events, because that was both thematically tight and had some amazing crew in there. This mega has been extremely well written. I've actually been reading the event text quite happily, and I think it was the end text for last week with EV Suit McCoy, where I think I was talking about McCoy in shore leave when he turns up after he's been killed and he's got the two ladies on his arms and he's drinking a mint julep. And then I'm pretty sure he mentions mint juleps in the event. And I was like, okay, clearly they have been watching the episodes. They've been watching the same episodes I have. And like seeing it all tied together, like you've got the entire extended Spock Sarek family throughout the Omega. You've got all of these like paramours. You've got all the people important to Spock in some way, and I just kind of wish that the 5-star crew were a bit more appetizing. Because if they were, this would be another high watermark. As it is, I'm going to look back at this and be like, "Oh, that was a lot of fun. Didn't get any of the 5 stars."
I think it can go either way. Like we had, EV Suit Spock is generally quite excellent. He is a nice addition to everyone's roster. But yeah, like you say, the ones you go for are never quite good. And it's got to be hard to balance. We've spoken about this before, but hard to balance like crew statistically wise to what they're worth. I know a lot of people complain that they're sick of seeing these little like Captain Solok or to bring these sort of like one note wonders, but then again, someone else points Skycap, a good friend who was on the show a few weeks ago, says she likes to see these sort of out of the way crew come in at legendary level so they can sort of watch the episode and get that little bit of extra Star Trek lore. I know I've been, we've all been looking on Memory Alpha a lot more since playing this game to sort of enrich our sort of Star Trek knowledge. So it's 50-50, I'm always grateful that they don't do what other franchises do and just spurn out the lead character week after week. We get these little asides, but at the same time, yeah, they could be a little bit more remarkable. I don't think we need another 2-skiller ever, but every Mega has to have 1 or 2. So
I do like these one-off names because I like TOS, and I told you guys earlier in the week it's probably because I spend so much time with my dad watching the episodes together, and so even the really bad ones, when they come on, it's like warm blanket. It just you feel comfortable. It's part of your childhood, whatever. So I do like the one-offs. I like the run on TOS crew, but I mean, there's a sort of drumbeat about Megas not being Mega, and we've had this discussion before, but it really feels like that lately. Like when I hear a Mega announcement, you go like, okay, my personal rituals. What's the bonus going to be? Okay, I got to go through my spreadsheets and tracking and make sure that's up to date. And I look at what the recurring Mega is going to be. What am I going to get 4 copies of, and then that's it. Like I don't know, maybe you couldn't do a 4 faction in a row, but at least that would be something new. At least I could think about who I'm going to fall, and that would really make a difference. I don't know if they want to go back to their drawing board. I know they have other things on their plate. Maybe they don't want to make any changes at all. But for me, it's just like we had that graph up earlier of Voyagers, and that the meaty chunk in the middle where they're all very similar, and a lot of crew, whether they're 2-skillers, Captain Erica Hernandez or whatever, I want to compete. I want to plan. I want to say, okay, I want to be excited to burn my resources. And say, I can't meet you guys this weekend because I'm going to be doing something else. And I do want to have fun and interact with the game and not just stockpile resources. And maybe this is just another bored veteran talking about his burnout with the game, which I'm not there yet. But it's sort of one thing leads to another. And when you have something that you're calling Mega that you want to promote as this is a reason to get in there and make plans and tie everything together. It's just, I'm more of a stats nerd than probably a lot of players. So it's just been a lot of letdowns in that area.
You look at it and you think like, okay, these crew have got to be a little bit exceptional, and they don't have to be hugely exceptional to be useful for everyone. But I think when you're putting in the Linus Parises, the T'Prings, the Captain Erica Hernandezes, and you kind of just going, why? Like, I think like you say, Megas need to be Mega, but they also need to be balanced with the game. But there's no harm in giving someone like Captain Erica Hernandez an extra side trait and chucking a few things on there. She doesn't need to be a high performer, doesn't need to be like top of the Voyage ranks, but just to give us something worth game, because you see a 2-skiller or even a 2-skiller with decent bases and you think, I'm never going to use them. Like, they're going to sit. This is and okay, fair enough. This is a late game problem, but you have a 1 of 5 crew that is just going to be sitting there forever. Like I've got Linus Parrish is sitting there, and I don't know. I don't want to get rid of it because in some inherent part of my mind, golds are valuable. So it's and
well,
this
new one out twice a week, so
exactly, and I think it's like okay. Mid-event, I think that's sort of like when you put in your kind of maybe your vanity cards, like your T'Prings and your things like that. People that the one-off characters that people might go, oh, I really like that character. Yeah, I'm going to go for that. That's sort of, for the card collecting aspect of it. But maybe the megas need to be a bit more.
And actually, that's something that at least Idle, you and I have been experimenting with. You've mentioned before Nightmare Mode, which I think you explained in the past. You have to get all of the gray crew on your roster before you can move on to green crew. And
I'm going to write this up.
Hold on.
Sorry,
I'm going to give you the whole. Oh, I thought you were going to do the whole spiel first.
I will. So I'll do a brief rundown. So we weren't going to talk about this at all. I'm going to credit a good friend of mine, Jenos Idanian, who came up with the concept. But Nightmare Mode is a way of starting an alt, and this is only for the truly insane board veterans. You start off the game, you start a brand new game, and you collect all your grey crew. You cannot use green crew, you cannot use blue crew. You can until you have unlocked the previous tier. And by unlocked meaning you have fully immortalized every single grey crew. You have immortalized then every single green crew, you can move on to blues. What this is, and we've been playing this and sort of experimenting on this just to see how it works. And what it has made me realise is there are a wealth of quite good grey crew out there that just don't get appreciated because they are useful, but because there are so many people above them in the green tier, you just wouldn't look at them. Or even when, like you were talking earlier with Owen Paris, he's a good crew for new cards. Well, he invalidates a lot of grey crew. So what is the point? And I think the point you're trying to make, Auto, is like when we're having these sort of two skillers or these quite sort of subpar crew coming in as event bonuses. What is the point for those that need them other than the vanity? I will go into Nightmare Mode another point. We're still working it out. We're still going through the kinks at the moment, and there will be a write-up. It is fun but insane.
I hope this episode isn't like devolving into our own personal soul searching. But yeah, the overarching point is like if you have certain crew, they do
well. The event this week is Shakari.
Wait, what? I'm not getting the tie-in. What am I missing?
Searching for our soul searching.
Oh,
Shakari.
Okay.
I have to say something, goddammit. You've been talking for like 10 minutes.
I'm trying to put off transitioning to Sybok because he's coming up.
It's okay. Because we can... Go on.
But you're okay, so your Nightmare Mode is looking for a way to experience new fun with crew we already have in game.
Yeah, and
I've done something... I had, I guess you call it Valkyrie Mode, where I wanted to try playing with only female crew, because I think 2/3 of them are male crew, and it would be a fun challenge in Gauntlet. It would be fun trying to complete collections that way. So it's like players going out of their way to create fun for themselves because the new crew are not like blowing anyone's blowing anyone away. So
you look at Stargazer Picard. So I looked at Nightmare Mode and went, right, I'm starting with these grey crew. First person I'm going to get is Stargazer Picard because I know he is one of the best greys. No one ever looks at him twice when they start the game because they get someone equally better straight out of the gate. But he is a brilliant little card if you're just only using grey crew. He's a constant staple on my roster on all my voyages. So why have him in the game? Stargazer Picard is a great little collection piece, but he's redundant unless you're doing these fun little games. And I think we've spoken to where last time we had Ben on, we've spoken about this before. It's like we need to find. It would be nice if we had some new use for these older crew.
I do have to bring up that I think that this is very, very valid criticism, and I don't think Ben would even disagree if he's still in the chat after being castigated. But I do think there may be a slight element of the troubles, as it were, because when we were talking to Ben, there were a lot of features planned, and we've had a relatively good clip of new things being added. Now, the quality of those things will vary depending on who you ask. Like stuff like the Mirror Collection, oh, well, it's just a collection. You're just, grouping things together and bumping up everyone's proficiency numbers a bit. Oh, you added the Event Hub. Yeah, but it's useless. I don't do anything with it. Yeah, well, it'll become something later. And I have to wonder, it's like a case of, are we seeing like a slowdown of like megas becoming less mega because they have to kind of tide things over and keep things a little bit smaller scale, maybe because we want to save things for, hey, do you want new number one Voyager? I don't know. Do you want new number one Sybase, number one Voyager, Gary Mitchell in our brand new objective event?
No, you're right.
Okay, because you do in the end with a game like this, you can't just blow it all at once. Like, do you think about the fact that there are like 3 enterprises that we don't have in the game? We don't have the Enterprise B, we don't have the Enterprise C, we don't have, for those who care, the Enterprise J.
It's canon.
Do you think about the fact that we haven't got a single Excelsior class? Do you think about the fact that we only just got a Nebula? How long did it take for us to get the Enterprise E, arguably one of the most iconic ships in the entire franchise?
We've got it.
And in this case, if you do have to, how long did it take us?
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. No, you are right. I think I think we have divulged a little bit too much from where we started with the end of the Mega, but I think we're getting that slippery slope back into the complaining. But yeah, no, I think you're right. There is, Ben has teased there are going to be more stuff coming in 2021, sort of early next year. I think, and you're right, it is a slower pace. But yeah, I think when they look at what makes and this has been addressed by several people in the past, like what makes a mega other than a theme.
This is true.
Okay.
Yeah, the crew are a big part of it, but they could still make small tweaks, like a half faction at the front half of the first event.
Yeah, we did moan about that, didn't we?
You don't need to move heaven and earth to make that make a little more sense for players.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Okay.
There are small things they can do. I have heard a few comments recently from newer players who are like, I just started playing and I found the stream and they're listening for this or that reason, and it's like. And they're probably wondering, maybe I shouldn't put too much time on the game. No, it's like we've reached this point because we've spent every waking minute, playing with the game or fiddling with the game or talking about the game or building spreadsheets to the game. So I don't think everyone's at this point, but I know we have a lot of players that have played from the beginning that watch the show or on Discord and the forums, and they're probably feeling a little bit of the same thing. So
we have a problem. We need an intervention.
Yeah, but I think the thing is, like the nature of a mobile game is that, you're going to have your up points, you're going to have your down points, but I think all it's going to take is one shot in the arms. Like a new event type alone would probably have us freaking out for the next 6 months, because that's the kind of timeline you're looking at with like this kind of game, where one new feature can completely change. Do you remember the Voyagers were not in the original release? Collections were not in the original release. I don't think Gauntlet was either. I wasn't there though.
No, and actually, one thing to your point that they did a great job with, when they introduced skirmishes, we had as rewards enemy line Cisco, which was super iconic. Everyone liked him. He was even good on ships. We had Reverend Phlox, who's still good. We had Interface LaForge, who's still good. So a lot of those early crew, like they tied it together to make sure that you wanted to play the new event, that you were rewarded handsomely for it. So I think they hit that one out of the park.
Yeah, and I think if you look at sort of the general trajectory of the game, it is generally improving. It's a case of, think about the fact that we started off this game with expedition events, and now we don't have them, and now we have skirmish events, which I think, guess what? It's hell on your wrist, but the fact that it's just a lot more rewarding, and you can do a lot better at it, even if, like, oh god, here we go. I've started talking and I put on a silly hat.
Just to cap it off, let's all remember the fact that Wicked Realm Games came into existence about a year ago, probably not even that, and there has been a massive change. There has been a massive upheaval, partly because of what happened with the offer wall and also with the takeover. So there has been a little bit of stagnation. I feel like we're starting to see things moving, and I think we should now take this time to move on the conversation. Let's talk about Zarabeth, because we have languid over this too much. Okay, valid player concerns, but we will talk round in circles if we don't move on. Zarabeth is this week's super rare crew, which as we've said before, we've had a mega full of galaxies, so she is the only one you will get 3 of 4. And if there's a reason to pull recaps, she is not it. She is another 2-skiller, Dip Med, which we were talking about recurring skill sets. We're just going to moan this whole thing, I think, because even for a new player, she's not hugely inspiring. I'm getting, like, Marsha vibes from her, and I don't know why.
You wish you were getting Marsha vibes, if Marsha had, like, 3 straight megas. And she's David Bowie's wife. Who's
Marsha?
Zarabeth? Pretty sure. I think that's Aman, right?
Really?
Pretty sure.
I didn't even know who the hell you're talking about. Guys, it's Martia. I thought you meant like Marsha Brady.
Marsha? Martia?
No, Martia.
Martia.
Yes.
Are you taking the piss?
No, that's actually her name.
So anyway, Zarabeth.
I'm like, who the hell
Is it Marsha?
Martia, yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure that's David Bowie's wife. I'm pretty sure that's Aman. But that's way more interesting than talking about Zarabeth.
Martia. I thought I was bad for it.
Wait, isn't that Dolph Lundgren's wife?
You're thinking of Grace Jones, otherwise known as Mayday from A View to a Kill.
Hey, I'm wearing the hat for a reason.
Like, vaguely attractive black woman look the same to you.
She is married to David. Well, she was married to David Bowie. Rest in peace. There you go. You were right.
David 2000 noted racist.
She was also married to Spencer Haywood, and she was the last actress to kiss William Shatner in a Star Trek production.
Well, yeah, I suppose the only other candidate would have been Patrick Stewart.
There are worse ways to go.
I think I've seen that fan edit at some point.
How much are we trying to avoid talking about Zarabeth right now?
Okay, let me say my piece, and then I will cede the floor to the oft underused Stars and Garters. I love Zarabeth. She's a terrible card. I don't care. I love her art. I love the actress. I love the episode. Isla and I have watched it recently. It is, for me, great TOS.
Great toss.
Yeah,
It's a good toss.
It's a good toss, and she's a big part of it. So, I even forgot the other half of the episode that Kirk is involved in, because I just remember Zarabeth and how much I liked her scenes with Spock and McCoy. So
I mean,
whatever. I'll be happy to.
Go on.
I'll be happy to get this crew, even though I'll never use her.
Well, so this is like kind of, you were saying, oh, you'll cede the floor to me. Guess what? I'm happy for you. I'm glad you're getting a crew you want. I'm not going to be over here like, why is she like this? Like, no. Guess what? It's, how many awful Worf variants am I going to collect because I like the character? Guess what? It's the point of the game. Have the pretty art, have the pretty card, look at her in the freezer and be like, man, you were a good episode.
To be fair...
Oh, that is a burn. Look at her in the freezer and like her.
Actually, that's oddly appropriate because she was on a glacial planet.
She was, yes. It was an interesting episode. Like I say, I've just concluded my the original series rewatch, and that was the penultimate episode. And it's sort of it starts with Kirk and crew beaming down to the library planet, and Kirk ends up going through a portal into a world where he has a musketeer fight with someone for no real reason, and Spock and McCoy meet Zarabeth and on an icy planet and have a fight over her, and then Kirk gets pushed on a trolley by the attendant, and that's the end of the episode, really. That's about all that happens.
Are you sure this was like a game of Mad Libs? What the hell?
Pretty much. I am pretty sure they just put down some random cards and that was the episode. But
I think you just gave us a segment.
Season 3 of TOS is not the greatest.
Timeline's Mad Libs is coming up soon.
Oh, yeah. I wish I still had my Cards Against Humanity set. We could adapt that. Anyway, no. Yeah, it was an interesting
do you
episode.
think they might have a Star Trek expansion set?
They must do. Or someone must have done something like that. That has to be a thing.
Merchandising.
Not with Zarabeth, though.
Not with Zarabeth.
Okay. Natural conclusion. Sybok is the super rare ranked reward this week. Heal Your Pain, Final Frontier, the movie I actually need to watch because I haven't seen it since about 1999. Here he is. Do you need to unfreeze him? Nope. You've got EV Suit Spock. You don't actually need him at all because it's a skirmish event. But he's there. He's +1 Vulcan if you need that.
Now,
go on.
I had a rather uncouth joke to share ahead of this
Please
stream.
raise the tone.
He just, how can I? And it was a case of, okay, so the underlying storyline of this mega is that Spock has been rewriting himself out of history, and everyone's like, what the hell are you doing, Spock? Why are you doing this? And it's like 3 weeks of everyone going, why are you actually doing this? And then it's like Layla Halumi, and it's a case of, okay, so Layla Halumi, rather, as we've dubbed her in the show. It appears that it's all for her. It's all for the love of a woman, which, guess what? As McCoy put it, makes sense. It's the only thing that would actually explain it. And then there's Sybok standing right there, and like I couldn't help but think, Sybok, did you plan all of this just so that you could get your brother laid? Is that actually been the end point of this mega? Did you just want Spock to take the stick out of his ass and just say to a woman, yeah. I like you, maybe let's go huddle and kiss for a little while.
This was the mega of all of Spock's exes, you know, you had to bring Layla, Zarabeth. Anyone else? No.
All right, so will this, as far as I know, WRG is still working from home? Like, we haven't heard anything change. Do you think these storylines are going to get, like, more and more, as they're locked in their own homes, do you think they're going to get stranger and stranger at some point?
I think we're going to have to keep a track, because I have to confess, this is my hand on heart, I don't read the storylines that often. I tend to just tap through, but we should sort of cover it more, and I think I'm going to make more of an effort, because there's, you know, they
when do I get the mega where the Voyager crew play a game of Uno? I guess what? I want that. I want that mega.
No. The crew of Discovery play an escape room.
The DS9 crew play Jenga.
With tribbles. Okay. Sybok, is there anything more to say on Sybok? Is
I'm
he
the one
worth
wearing the jester hat, really?
Is he worth anything for this skirmish? Does he have anything redeeming that one might say, I'm going to unfreeze him over Evie Suit Spock? I feel like indulging my roster with a Vulcan for a change.
Yeah, he is. He initializes faster, 6 seconds, shield repair and evasion. So if you're having a bumpy skirmish or the Defiant is kicking your butt, maybe you don't have a fully fused ship, he can help you survive a little bit. I think for most endgame players, the bonus crew is just dead weight anyway to get you more rewards and victory points. So I think he can help if you're struggling a little bit with staying alive.
On that,
man, we're just all kinds of weird this week.
This is we're off the rails.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I have one last thing to add about Sybok, and that he, I think it was when I was talking about Ambassador Valar and about how, what was her actress's name, like Fionnona Flanagan, because she's got one of those good old Irish Celtic names. The actor for Sybok has an almost amazing name, almost as amazing, and it's Lawrence Luckinbill.
Oh, that is good.
And that is like a Marvel-esque Stanley alliterative name.
He sounds like he belongs in a Bond movie, I think. By the way, I forgot.
Sybok is basically a Bond villain.
I forgot when we talked about Fezzik the other week. He's played by Ron Canada. That's a pretty good name.
Ron Canada.
Okay. Last but not least, we have 2 limited time officers. Limited time offers. The beers hit me now.
We're just dying here.
We are. This is.
Help us, please.
If only someone said this should be an hour show instead of a 2-hour show.
Gosh. Hang on, I'm getting mad. There we go. This week we have Bartender Tuvok and Mirror to Pole as your purchase this week. Now, Bartender Tuvok has a rather... Well, no, I don't think anyone's been able to confirm this yet. But Bartender Tuvok... I've
confirmed it.
You have confirmed it?
Yes, with my giant brain. I said brain.
Can you fit it under that hat?
Yes, Otto, it's confirmed.
Bartender Tuvok is not in the portal, despite the fact that he should be in the time frame where he should be. And this is kind of an intriguing fact about him. I think a fair few people have sort of gone on to sort of search for anyone that might have had him in a behold, and pretty much everyone's come up blank.
Okay, so the short story is Temporal Agent 7 had asked the community, okay, his image bot for Beholds processes dozens, hundreds of images per day. and he said he couldn't confirm that Bartender Tuvok was in the portal. So he asked people, and I think one or two people said, "Yeah, I remember pulling him." So I went back and looked at those images. One was one of those, what are they called?
Elusive.
Yeah,
Elusive
elusive treasures, where everyone's in the pool. The other one was the EV suit Tuvok, the 3-star
Vulcan pool.
where.
Yeah,
that
best
was-
value. Get some.
So the only images, the only on the forums on Discord, wherever I looked, the only time Bartender Tuvok popped up were during these other LTOs with a different pool of bonus crews. Or yeah, so he came out beginning of last year, and there have been a few months after him of crew that are actually several months after him of crew that are all in the portal. So he was a reward, I think, for a rerun event. So there's nothing particularly special about him. He should be in the portal, he's just not. So that's a long-winded way of saying, in case WRG forgets again to put him in, this may be your one chance outside of certain elusive treasure things to get a hold of him.
Yeah, they keep on playing keep away with my Tuvok.
Statistically, though, Dipsec Psi, number 6, he's Voyager rank 205. And nothing insanely special, but he does have that nice Vulcan trait, which would help. Anyone that has him sitting at 4 or 5 may have somehow been lucky enough to get him.
Well, we do have to keep in mind that Voyager number 205, that sounds awful. As I recall, that was what Alternate Future Bashir used to be, like roughly, like maybe a bit worse. But the standards of what actually is a bad Voyager nowadays has changed quite a bit. Like, he's not gonna probably voyage on many like top end voyages. Like, if you have like determined Paris level people doing every slot, then yeah, sure, you're probably not going to see the light of day. But the fact of the matter is, like Voyage 205, like as Otto was mentioning, where 40 to 240, it's pretty like it's stacked pretty linearly. It's all a case of one random antimatter trait, and suddenly you've jumped 200 voyage ranks. It's a bit nuts.
So the two things here are a killing game vanity, which who knows if we ever get that, but that would be fun, and we have tons of those. Yeah, we have tons of those crew already in game. The other thing is Tuvok dip. You have 1-star ensign Tuvok.
It's my favorite kind of dip.
With a little bit of diplomacy, rocking your shuttles. You have Tuvix with 659 diplomacy, not enough to not get him killed. And then Bartender Tuvok as the only real Tuvok dip in the game. So, if Stars wants to scratch that itch again, this is sort of your only appreciable source of Tuvok dip.
There is a certain logic to your logic. Yeah, no, you know what? If we get like a crew in tuxedos event, or if we get a year of Tuvok, which is not unprecedented, like I think he'd be a relatively useful event piece, and you can do far worse than collecting Vulcans in this day and age. Whether or not he's worth taking like an LTO one is always up to you and your personal spending habits, but you could do a lot worse. Like our next LTO.
Indeed. We have Mirror to Pole.
Did someone say a lot worse?
Oh, she's bad.
Wasn't that a Bond villain a lot worse? No.
Almost something close to that.
Hi, I'm Plenty 02.
Named after your father.
The worst. Divers Off River is awful. So some context here, gentle viewers. I have this card, Mirror to Pole, 3 out of 5 through various misfortunes, and I took one look at this LTO and I thought, well, bugger that. Like, even with Mirror and Vulcan, I was like, I'd rather wait and just wait for it to just fill in naturally off the conveyor belt, because her numbers are bad. I have her at 3 out of 5, and that's around about the point where gold should start performing relatively well on your roster. I think she's my 50 best science base. She's down there. She's below some 4-star crew, and it's pretty rough down there.
Can I just ask a question to you guys who do a lot more sort of tiering than I do? Has the Mirror Collection improved her overall worth?
Well, of course, it's going to improve the worth of a crew, because A, it's got nice stat boost. B, you need 17 golds, most of them real bad. We talked about it last week. Mirror Picard is really the only one around that you still want to side up on his own merits. Killy, maybe if you need arena, all the rest are like, eh. And as the portal balloons to unimaginable levels, the chances of getting 5 stars of, the mirror crew that you want to fuse up for this collection are pretty slim. So, but and I feel like every collection you add, which is still has some value, it's more than the sum of its parts because you only have to level one crew to get multiple collection benefits. So yeah, it's worth something. But in her defense, this is a 2016 crew. So yeah, the numbers are bad. T'Pol, though, is the one enterprise name that does get events. Again, I mean, if we're talking about Admiral Owen Pearson Gauntlet, she could do a little bit of gauntleting for you if you're a new player, but she does have the misfortune that skill set is not only loaded on voyages, it's loaded in the gauntlet as well. So Sirach and Locutus and all these
Boothby and
big
there's
dipper
a
side
ton
names,
of yeah.
So that the ranks are bad, yeah, but it's not like it's her fault. She's almost 4 years old at this point. So
Well, you say that, but you have a crew like Dark Ages McCoy, who I feel like aged a lot more gracefully than she did. Yeah, he's not. Well, he's not quite on par with her now, but I feel like over the trajectory was a lot smoother for him, even though he didn't have the same kind of gauntlet prospects. I'm not quite sure.
As of now, I would rather have T'Pol. She
Really?
gets more factions. Her collections are going to be more beneficial to my roster. So
I don't know, man. Like I think at 3 out of 5 with bonuses, her side base is 842. I'm fairly certain I have 4-star T'Pol variants that would outperform her in a faction.
Well, yeah, 3 of 5, but I mean, to get collection benefits, you'd have to fully fuse her anyway. So, I mean, I wouldn't cite her, but yeah, I'd take her in a behold and
This week
add
on
stars that
Timeline
way.
Showdown, it's Mirror T'Pol versus any other of her variants. Who will
There's
come
some
out on
Baxter
top?
Neely.
Yeah, 2-star T'Pol. Ooh, that was an interesting one.
She was pretty good.
Before we close down this long-winded and dusty trail of the menagerie of our thoughts, guys, you've been talking about Honor Suicide Pact. We're going to sort of issue something to the community now, but do you want to talk us through it? Anyone?
Yes. So the Honor Suicide.
I've been talking too
Anyone?
much,
No.
so I'm going to sit here with a smug
Anyone?
look on my
No.
jackass face.
Oh, well, that's easy for you to do.
Oh!
So the Honor Suicide Pact, I think it debuted about a year and a half ago, which seems like a lot longer now when I think about like how long ago I started this crew. And the idea is to pick a crew on your roster that is quote unquote bad, and side them up to full, and then see how they perform on your roster. And it's usually kind of with the addendum of this has to be a crew that you like, one that you either want to see perform in game, or that you just really like the character or that moment in a time or that episode, and you would just want to see what they can do for you. I think when I first did it, it was like Mirror Worf because obvious. Prince Bashir because it was like he filled like 2 or 3 collection spots for me, and like I needed a bit of gauntlet and a bit of command. And it was interesting doing it because it does elevate certain crew, not all of them, as Otto found out when he cited his beloved Trelane and he did jack all. But we all make our mistakes in life, and you learn to live with them. But in the end, it's all about ending up with a 5 out of 5 crew, and then saying, I did that on a dare, and you know what? I had fun. And occasionally, it pays real dividends, like finishing off like Mirror War, for example, gets you like Mirror Collection, and I don't know, like I feel like Mirror could see a resurgence in events.
So
this is to look at.
This is something that we confirmed are going to start next week, at least with the 3 of us. So this week, if you guys want to join along, and if you want to have your Future Mistakes broadcast live on television, go ahead over to Wicked Realm Games forums. I think it's still disruptorbeam.com. Find our thread in the bridge and post the crew that you want the community and or us to pick to put you into full misery. Now, these, I think that the loose rules we're going with is no base above rank 30. Voyage has to be below number 180. But if you just want to have fun, if you just want to pick names that you like, the even looser rule is just names that you would not cite with your citations. But we're going to make it hurt a little bit because we're going to burn honors. So go to the forum, put your names, the crew names there, and we'll have them on screen next week, and we'll have ours on screen next week too. And you guys are going to vote for all three of us live. And
Three.
and
I'm not sure I agreed to
yes,
this.
no, you're doing it.
Oh,
you're in
shit.
on it.
I know you
I
guys
was like,
are,
oh,
but
I'm not here
It's
that
called a
week. That's crazy.
it's called a
It's so
pact
weird how
for
it
a
works out.
reason.
oh jeez, this is I've got like
You're
future
sitting
honor
on,
sale on it.
300k honor. Shut up.
That's
Yeah,
that's
so that
It'll be fine.
the worse the name, the better. And
Yes,
we got to have
so-
some kind of booby prize. If you have the worst crew and you manage to fuse them up,
Whoa.
we're gonna put you on our shoulders and carry you around the room or something.
Well, we have to. I'm going to lay out a challenge, and I'm not sure it's even a possible challenge. But our good friend Plain Simple Garrick has the oft-repeated honor of having immortalized the Binars, the 5-star version from this. I challenge you, anyone, if you think you can find a crew worse than the Binars to finish off, you will get something. I'm not sure what.
It's gonna be Skycap and Shinzon. I know it.
yeah.
I feel like she would as well. She would.
Admiral
But-
Cartwright. You know, maybe you like Brock Peters.
I
I could
forgot
see
he
that.
existed.
Arrest
See, this
those
is the fun
men.
of this. This is the fun. This is the fun of the Suicide Pact. Is you go, oh god, yeah, that card. Oh, it's awful. Yeah, I know. I cited them. Isn't it great?
I'm
So
literally
these are the
grimacing.
general
This
sort
is
of
so bad.
rules. Yeah, well, guess what? We're gonna make it extra hard for you.
If you like Mugato for the Zoolander crossover, you know that might win you the booby prize too.
Fun fact: Ben Stiller is a
Is
massive
this
Star Trek
a
fan.
TOS for ants.
Really?
He is. He loves the original series. What? Listen to the podcast. Listen to the Star Trek directive. It's great. He's interviewed on it. He's like, yeah, he's got Spock's ears. He owns Spock's ears.
How much did that set him back?
I don't know. On that note,
Earful?
sorry.
How much did I set him back in the earful?
What did you learn about fast segues last week, Idol?
I have learnt
If
nothing.
you want to cut us off, you got to hurry up.
I've
man.
got seriously. This has been the lesson in it this week.
As my balls jingle in the background.
Destroy. Auto in the back, idle in the back of his mind. He's just going destruct sequence 001, code 1A 2B 3C execute.
That was so good.
I'm just waiting for my glorious new co-host. Anyway, on that note, I think we are going to call that for this week.
If you want to plug co-hosts,
oh yeah,
now's
well,
the time. We always bury them in the third hour. so
very
let's
you
it.
do, don't you? Very potentially hopefully in this time next month, I should be having a glorious set of new hosts to join me for a one night special. Hopefully, if they agree, we should be having a bit of female representation. You may have seen them on the show already, and one of them may have led us down a dark drinking path. You know who you are. So look forward to that coming up. Next week, we will have a community special guest coming on to join us and just to have a little chat with us as we get through our post-Mega Blues. And
Wait, hold on. I haven't signed off yet, so
Okay,
they
go
need
on.
to agree to drink. If they agree to drink with us, then we'll allow them to come on.
of course, drinking is mandatory. I nearly didn't tonight. I was going to say sober because I've got to look at a house tomorrow. But anyway, I absconded my
Yeah,
responsibilities.
that's all right. I can fit plenty of mega crew in there.
Yeah, exactly. Room for all my 105s.
By the way, Skycap says I would 100% shins on, and then I like to imagine it has that meme picture. If I had him,
One day.
Yeah, what is that? Fairly Odd Parents?
I think it's Fairly Odd Parents. Yeah, this is where I put my trophy. If I had one.
And one day, Sky Camp.
So just think,
Or
someone out there has a shins on 1 out of 5, and Skycap is just hungering, thirsting for that Tom Hardy, and they're like, they don't even know. They don't even know that they have this fool's gold on their roster.
And I'm sure someone will think that about your friends Silver LaForges as well.
Still going? Wow. Thanks, Ben. You know, you made this game. We're just talking about it.
I have been trying to cut these motherfuckers off
I'm
for
gonna
like
pop into
15
Ben's
minutes
office.
now.
Wow, still coding? What are you doing with your
Right.
life? This is a trial
Ladies and gentlemen,
game.
this has been fantastic. It's been an excellent week. Tangents ahoy. We will see you next week on another show where I actually have control of these motherfuckers for once. Ladies and gentlemen, goodbye.
Wait.
What?
Wait,
Why?
wait.
Go on. What now?
Ben says, oh my God, this is the 11:59. Ben says, stars, I have a surprise for you.
All right. Okay. We got to wait for this now.
This better be good.
This better be really
It's
fucking
gonna be
good.
some dots and dashes. It's gonna spell out Worf, and I'm gonna be like, yeah, yeah, Worf.
Yeah, this is like an in joke with my sister because we'll go on, and then we say goodbye, and then we keep talking. So we just do the okay, bye, and then we hang up like right after. So maybe Idle just needs to go okay, bye, and then hit the stream end button.
I'm just waiting to see what Ben's gonna say.
I can't be that.
We're gonna keep you going for the next half hour, so you're stuck with us.
I have a surprise.
He
for
never
you.
drops any news on this show.
No, I know. What does
Yeah,
he
no,
do
he's
for
never
us?
done
What does he
that,
do
never.
for us, really? It's terrible. Okay.
Well, to be fair, he did lead us up the garden path of that Suspiria. You know, I had to give him props. That was well played.
What if he's on a Zoom call with Michael Dorn right now, and he's getting him to like virtually sign something for you or something?
Shut up. There's nothing.
Maybe he has one of those giant cardboard cutouts of Michael Dorn. He's got his arm around him right now.
And next week our special guest is Michael Dorn. No, not really.
Oh,
By the way,
I would not be able to come on the show. I would have. Oh man, I would die.
Ben says, "I can't tell you now. Too much pressure." You know what that means? This hat belongs to you, Ben. Enjoy it.
And on that note, myself, Auto, and Stars, whether they like it or not, are gonna say goodbye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.